Om Namah Shivaya. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So in this old book, on page 49, towards the end of the last class, I saw I had underlined certain parts of this book before I came in California, and I thought I would follow it, a general direction of, because I think all of the information that we are talking about is here, as I mentioned. And so on page 49, on the middle of the page, as you can read, this beginning of the paragraph, and that's what triggered my spending some time and towards the end of the last class. So it goes, when Brahman is known, it is known as the self. Important statement to be noted. It's not something that you just academically go through and just see over that, but to really, this is what is called, to know Brahman is to be known as a self, is paroksha jnanam, right? Paroksha jnana means that it's knowledge, but it is not immediate, not something that you can directly see. And the conversion of paroksha jnanam to aparoksha jnanam is your job. And with the help of a teacher who has a direct presence in your life. So both of the jobs. This is why this is such an important prayer. Sahana vavatu, sahanau bhunaktu. So it means maybe together do this. It's your job as well as my job together, and something will happen. Om sahana vavatu, sahanau bhunaktu, saha viryam karavavahai. May we become brilliant in our vision. So that's what it is. So it is, but anyway, regardless of whose job it is, your job or my job or together our job, what needs to be done is to convert a paroksha jnanam to aparoksha jnanam. And again, going back to the important example of the rope and snake, just by doing things as a hope doesn't work. If you say that, as I gave you the example, that the friend who says you are being silly, there cannot be a snake in the second floor of a condominium in the middle of it, so you must have mistaken it for something else. So go back to it and see it. But the person doesn't want to go back to it because he's afraid. He's still under the influence of the fear that there is really a snake. So to direct to somebody to say, go back there also doesn't work. But even so, if the person who is what is called an apta purusha means a believable, wise person, because he's saying that there cannot be a snake here. You're living on the 9th floor of this high rise. How can a snake get there? It's not possible. Must be a mistake on your part. So go back, don't bother me, go back and check it. This is still paroksha jnanam. It's paroksha jnanam. And so this is not up. And so what should have been done is to really go with the person and say, I'll do it. Where is it? Show it to me. Come with me. And when that person directly sees, my God, this is a rope, this is called aparoksha jnana. Okay? So here, this is a very revealing thing that I found in Swami Akhandananda ji's book somewhere. Beautiful example. I think I've talked to you so many of them, so it'll be a repeat for you, but it's such an important example that I think I'd like to mention it here also in terms of converting a paroksha jnanam into aparoksha jnanam. So the example is that if there is a child in the home, like we do, we have a 1-year-old grandson, and I'm sure this is going to happen. We've already seen that in the case of a slightly older granddaughter. But in the case of the 1-year-old, what has to happen is that my son, and generally in this particular case, because she spends more time with the kids, the daughter-in-law will take out a book of pictures with some figures in it, and they will have a dog and a bicycle, and they'll say, "Baby, this is a dog," and the baby's first time he hears the word dog, it doesn't register. So the baby is turning pages, and so the mom says, "No, this is a cat." But after some practice, the kid gets better, and so the mom tests him. And so, in this example, there are body parts. Okay, there are body parts. Nose, with a picture of the nose. Eyes, there's a picture of the eye. Ear is a picture of the ear. And so the mom makes sure that this kid can identify which one of these pictures is nose. And after repeated practices, he gets it. He'll say, "Which one is this?" And he says, "Nose." She feels very happy. Okay, good. He has really done it very well. This is paroksha jnanam. This picture is not the nose, this is the nose. So after the successful exam of this kid about which picture refers to nose, if nothing more is done, because what will happen is, suppose the mom, either immediately after pointing this out or after a while, doesn't matter, asks the kid, "What is this?" You think he's going to say nose? No way. He has no connection. What are you talking about? This is some worry. What is this? This is nose. Or if, it's supposing she says, which one of them is nose? He's going to say, this is nose. So that is paroksha jnanam, not aparoksha jnanam. Aparoksha jnanam is everyone. We also have a 3-year-old, and I think now for more than a year, if you ask her, "Sanya, where is the nose?" she'll say, "Don't bother me, I know what it is." In the beginning, yes, they were very, test me. But if we test him, they'll say, "Bored, what are you talking about? Of course I know what it is." This is an important lesson. Here's what happens. We study. There is Atma. This is Anatma. this is mithya, this is that, all these technical words. You think this is aparoksha jnanam? This is exactly like the 1-year-old who says, this is the nose. Because you are looking at the book and say, this is exactly what, see, this is what triggers my, so here, look at this. He says, when Brahman is known as the self, when Brahman is known, it is known as the self. So you accept it. You accept it. You can even tell someone, you know what are the basics of Vedanta? So you say, well, I think I have Shraddha in this teaching, and I can tell you that if Brahman is known, it is known as the self. So you can make that statement very confidently and truthfully, really, truthfully. You're not saying, I don't know about this, but so you say, okay, I accept it. It's like saying, yeah, this is definitely a nose. So this is still a paroksha jnanam. It hasn't done anything to you. So what needs to happen, as we did a little bit in the beginning, the end of the last class, is to say, please see that, so this is what is, this is a very important thing. This is why even there I said the same thing. And in my life, so I think this is if we understand that, this is a breakthrough moment, honestly. It was for me. And I think it is by nature a breakthrough moment. And what is that? If there is truth, if there is Sat, because Brahman is Sat, it's the same thing. Brahman is more than Sat because it also has Chit, it also has Ananda, so that we will cover later on. But at least just look at Sat. Sat means being there without any conditions. That is what Sat is. So if there is any Sat, it has to be you. This has to be seen. And this is not a theory. This is not paroksha jnanam. Think about this. You are the only one which does not need any proof. You're already there. And you will always be there, no matter what. Supposing we had this conversation 5 years from now, if I'm still alive. You will be there. You will always be there. You see, this is a very important statement. You will always be there. You cannot disappear even if you wanted to. This is interesting that, remember that I was telling you about the story about this guy who asked Ishvara, do you know everything? You are all powerful, you can do anything? He says, yeah. So he says, please give me a head. And Ishvara said, oops, I cannot do that. Cannot do that, because you already have it. So similarly, if you go to Ishvara, really this is a very important thing. Supposing you go to Ishvara and say, can you make me disappear? Ishvara will say, I'm sorry. Ultimately what you will understand, I hope by the end of this course, if not, then we'll have to meet again. So this is always an advertisement for the next retreat. When we talk about Ishvara, when we talk about Brahman, it will always be in terms of you being there. you cannot disappear. Ishvara cannot disappear. Ishvara cannot make you disappear because you and Ishvara are one and the same. Jivatma and Paramatma are one and the same. There's only one Atma. So if you say, make me disappear, it's like saying, make yourself disappear. Neither of them can disappear. The Atma cannot disappear. I am. And if the body dies, nothing happens to you. Nothing happens to you. One very good message that Vedanta gives, these are so many acharyas say the same. Really, I tell you, one of the most pleasant things in reading, and you will, if you really become interested and you apply yourself, the literature, as I mentioned, all the 6 layers of literature, is enormous. And one of the pleasures of going through that is that every one of them is pointing out to the same thing. It's all consistent. It is not even some apparent inconsistencies, like it came out yesterday about Pancha Mahabhutas should be 5 or 3, cannot be there for the Atma. It is such a pleasant thing to read again and again. They'll say, yep, it is exactly true. It's exactly true. And that is, the Atma cannot disappear. Because, as we will see, what can disappear is something, what will disappear is what can disappear. You're not made of something that has parts. How can you disappear? You're self-evident. You're already here. Atma is self-existing, self-evident. Just to talk about self-existence is just mind-boggling, honestly. I still recall when this became clear to me in the study with Swami Dayanandji. The self-existence. Self-existence is mind-boggling. It means, and self-existence and Sat are one and the same. Because the Sat means, regardless of any conditions, you are there. And that is what Swatasiddhatvam is. Swatasiddhatvam means self-existence. And so that Sat is timeless and spaceless and vastuless. That is the very nature of the Atma. How can it disappear? What can make it disappear? There is no possibility of something breaking it. This is what Lord Krishna says. You cannot burn it. You cannot wet it. You cannot cut it. What are you? How are you going to be killed? Tell me. Prove it. And besides, there is no pramana. There is no pramana for it to be, because, see, this is the thing about Vedanta that is so mind-boggling. You know, we people talk about science. Science is very trustworthy because you can repeat it. You can do pramana. You can prove it by repeatedly doing the same thing. And that's what characterizes science. And so the science is based on pramanatvam, but the basis of being able to prove. So we accept that premise that really for a thing to be there must be a pramana. Where is the pramana that Atma dies? Please tell us this. This is what Vedanta asks. Just please. If you give the evidence that Atma dies, we will revise our thesis. If you can prove it. So some person can say, I saw Atma die. Did you really? Yeah, I saw Atma die. Atma was dead. Okay, all right. First of all, I don't believe you, but provisionally we believe you. You said you saw Atma die. Who are you that saw Atma die? Are you not a conscious entity? Only a conscious entity can prove that something happened. At one moment Atma was, and another moment the Atma was not. Then you can say, I was present when it was present, and I am present when it is absent. So the it is mithya, because that's the definition of mithya. One that sometimes is, sometimes is not. But I, as the observer, remain the same. Okay, good. So you saw Atma die? Yes, I saw Atma die. This will never happen. Because the person who is observing, I know. You can see this just now, your own self. I know. I am. I know. Actually, we will do that in the morning meditation. It will be better to do it there. But just look at it. This never goes. This never, you can never violate this. Self-evident, self-existence doesn't need any proof. You're always there. So therefore we can conclude in this short one that if you were to search for truth, so the search for Ishvara is for the search for truth. Truth meaning one which is independent of issues, independent of problems. One is one which is always there. If that is your search, it must begin with yourself. And as we said earlier, it will end with yourself. You go around and look at all possible ways of making yourself disappear. You cannot. You cannot, because you're just a small human being. Who are you? You can't. You can maybe make another small human being disappear. As we do, we kill others and so on. That's okay. But there's no pramana. So if you say, you're my mom and dad, this is written in our Kundalini, he was born on such and such date and such, etc., they have the proof. It is written in this patra. That's just the emergence of the body associated with me. That's it. Nothing to do with, you cannot kill space. You cannot even kill space. Forget about the Atma. Because there you can give see, this is one of the things that we do, is that our logic must have a proof. Everything must have a proof. Everything must have a proof. This is, I don't know, I'm just, just when these different ideas come in, then I have to pursue that a little bit. So, in the study of, we don't have time in this course of this 1 week, but if we had more time, then what is done in the teaching of Vedanta is to also examine the other schools of thought, all called darshana, shad darshana. So shad darshana means the 6 different schools of thought. Okay, like all the ideas about, and not just non-Vedic, even Vedic, like Sankhya, Purvamimamsa, Yoga, Vaisheshika, Nyaya, of course, Vedanta, and then the non-Vedic ones, Christianity, Islam, Buddhism, Jainism, all of those are examined thoroughly. And for those of you that are taking the Mandukya course with me, we're going to go through that very thoroughly. And so in that, the reason I'm mentioning that is that if we go into the alternate schools of thought, there's one which is called Sankhya. So the Sankhyas pretty much try to say the same thing as Vedanta. And Buddhism also is also another one which is closest to Vedanta. But closest to Vedanta doesn't mean it's the same thing as Vedanta, because they make a tremendous mistake in their analysis. Tremendous mistake, which just makes them non-acceptable to us. And the Sankhya's do the same thing. The reason I'm saying this Sankhya example is that what they say is that there are 2 entities in the whole creation. One is called Prakriti and the other one is called Purusha. Prakriti is nature, and nature means all the tendencies, Sattva, Rajas, Tamas, and Pancha Mahabhutas, all kinds of things. This is Prakriti. That's the very nature. And Purusha is the is like the Atma, which is unconcerned, unattached. So it seems like it's saying the same thing as Vedanta. But there's a big difference. That difference things apart, we will see that later on. But one thing we ask them is, you have this is a point of view. This is a point of view. You can call it a philosophy. So you have a philosophy that there is Prakriti, there is Purusha, and there is all these kinds of things. Where is the proof of it? Tell us the proof of it. And they said, no, we don't need to give you the proof, because it makes sense. And we said, no, it doesn't make any sense. Anyway, if you think it makes sense, what is your proof that it makes sense? And they'll say, no, we cannot give you a proof. And they say, you are the same way. You don't have a proof either. And we say, that's not true. That's not true. Do you know? Because Advaita Vedanta cannot exist without proof. Cannot, will not propose any, it's not a philosophy, but even if you were to look at it as a philosophy, we will never propose that philosophy without having proof. What is your proof, they say. So we say, you really want to know? Please sit down. The dream is the proof. Dream is the proof? What does that mean? So what we say is, The dream is an example of Advaita despite Dvaita. You don't need Prakriti and Purusha to be two separate Dvaitas forever. There is only one thing that can appear to be many. They say one thing that appears to be many. Where is the proof of it? Dream. This is the proof. And that just means that really speaking, something, and that includes all kinds of things. It includes ignorance, it includes nidra. Nidra means sleep. And sleep is a form of Maya. It's the individualized Maya. That's what it is. So it's very interesting. Nidra, sleep, according to the Vedantic view, is not just a covering. Because, it's like saying, did you see, this is what happens, I don't think I see here, but in the middle of the class you may be dozing off. I remember Swami Dayananji making this, he says that when he was studying with his teacher Swami Taranandji in Haridwar, actually I met him. Pammi was also there with me. I think she was also. We both went to see Swami Taranandji in Haridwar. My mother was also there. This was Swami Dayananji's teacher. He had 3 teachers and he was one of them. Well, Swami Chinmanand was also his kind of like a teacher. Then Swami Pranavananda from Vijayawada was his very important teacher. And then Swami Taranandji, who he studied all the Shastras with. And so he was reciting that in Swami Taranandji's class, there will be like only 4 or 5 people sitting there, and he's teaching them Shankara Bhashya with Sanskrit, all of them. And so there's one of the guys who was very fond of eating, so he would really eat a lot of food, and he was a big guy. And in the class, he would fall asleep. So he would start snoring. So Swami Taranandji will say, ये बात सुनने की है, सोने की नहीं है. This is for listening, not for sleeping. So then the guy wakes up. And everybody also says, here we go again. So I don't see you doing that here. Maybe you fool me once in a while, I don't know. But it's very interesting, this Nidra is a very interesting thing, a very important thing actually. Very important thing, not just interesting, very important. Because Nidra and the dream are together. You cannot dream until you go through Nidra. One doesn't go, this is a fact, you don't go directly from a waking state to a dream state. You have to pass through Nidra. Nidra means sleep. All the passages is through Nidra. It controls the travel. So Nidra is a very important thing. Why? Because it is not just the fact that, so this is my example, I'll say, did you understand that? And you'll say, no, I'm sorry because I fell asleep. So that means that it is some kind of a covering, you did not hear it. It is not just that. What it is like the Maya Shakti that can create an alternative vision for you in the form of a dream. An alternative experience. Different people. How that happens, we will examine it. That also needs some explanation. And Believe it or not, I can quickly mention it just to make sure that this point is taken up. The Jagrata Avastha is the same thing. How? Because the dream is the result of leftover impressions from some previous experience. When you construct a dream consisting of people, situations, things like that, that's what it, same old Pancha Mahabhutas, not any different. When you construct a dream making up of all these things, where does it all come from? It comes from memories and mixed up memories, changes, so on and so forth. So this is how it comes. Okay? So the dream experience is a remnant. And you think that Jagrata Avastha is a different experience? The Jagrata Avastha is also a remnant of memories. Jagrata Avastha. What? Dream I can understand because there is a waking state that generates the experience, and the dream state is a remnant of those experiences. Right? This is how the dream is defined. But what is the original experience that generates the remnant experience of a Jagrata Avastha? What is it? You know what it is? A continuous background of lives before this. Continuous. In fact, the dream is, this is why the Jagrata Avastha seems more real. It seems more real, it isn't. But it seems more real than the dream. Because the dream can be seen to be a remnant of only these experiences. Whereas the Jagrata Avastha is a remnant of a vast storehouse of experiences that you've had before. And this is a very fascinating thing. This is why the bird starts to fly without being taught. This is how a ant starts to go after sugar without being taught. This is why a baby cries when it is born. Just imagine that. Who taught the baby, hey, as soon as you're hungry, make some noise? Not necessary. It's all from the previous life. The baby in the previous life knew that if I am uncomfortable, I need to speak up. I need help. I'm wet. I am hungry. All from the previous life. It's not as though written in the handbook of new mothers. One of them is Learning to Cry, chapter number 1. How conditions under which you should cry. Please teach this to the kid. If you're wet, start crying. Where does it come from? It has to come from someplace. These are the remembrances of the experience of the past. So, this is explained in great detail in the Karika that we will be studying in the in our course. Gaudapadacharyaji's Karika. Gaudapada was the Guru's Guru of Adi Shankara. He goes through this very detailed Mimamsa and proves that, my goodness, the Jagrata Avastha is identical to the dream Avastha. So therefore, to close off this topic that I had started, a point of view is truth if it has a proof. And the proof of Advaita Vedanta, Advaita means that there is no duality. Even though there is an appearance of duality, the appearance of duality doesn't mean anything. So when a rope is seen to be a snake, there is an appearance of reality. It's not. There's only one thing, which is a rope. So similarly here also, like in a dream, there's an appearance of duality, multiplicity, as it is in the Jagrata Avastha. But the proof is that it is only an appearance. There is no truth to it. The moment you wake up from Nidra, poof, the whole thing just, you don't know where it goes. It's a fascinating thing. How it just disappears. And it's very interesting. I had said something else which I didn't quite complete, now I will. That was my thought. It is very interesting. One of the important messages, teachings of Vedanta is, and it all stemmed from the fact that you cannot kill yourself. You cannot die. You cannot die. So what happens in death is exactly what happens in sleep. Sleep and death are 99.999999999% the same. There is a 0.1%, whatever however lines, percent difference. What is the difference? In death, you have to import a new body. In sleep, the body is reusable. Reusable. Like when I shave, I can to see how many times I can use the same razor. It is reusable. After a while I can feel it, it's just not cutting my hair, so I throw it away and get a new razor. That's all it is. So, you cannot kill you. Do you kill yourself when you go from one day to the other, when you are asleep? You disappear completely, but you reappear. You haven't gone anywhere because you are still the same Atma. Same thing happens in death. Nothing happens to you. Nothing. Nothing can happen to you. It's not even proper to say nothing happens to you. Like, you can argue, yes, something happens to me. I'll say, no, nothing happens to you. It's not. You cannot die. It's not made up of something. So that is that's the situation. So, just to close it off, I think it's already 5 o'clock, let me wind it up. So, just to make sure that you have a reference here, what I started with at the beginning of the class, when Brahman is known, it is known as the self. The truth is known correctly when it is known as your own self. As Ramana Maharshi says in Upadesha Saram, he alone knows God properly when he knows God as his own self. So don't take it from me. Oh, this guy said it, I don't know it, I don't know what he means, this Ramana Maharshi. All these other people say exactly the same thing. So make that an important point in your discovery and as we go forward. Anyway, there's so much more to tell, but I don't mind expanding it. And at this rate, I don't know how we are going to finish this. Okay, we'll see. Om Asato Ma Satgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. So a word about the satsang with Swamiji tonight. Do you have some questions from him, for him? Because if you don't, then we can ask him to, I hope you do, I'm not saying, but I think it'll be embarrassing if we invite him and there's no questions for him. So think about it, and even if you have some between now and then, please write it down for him. And if you don't, if there are no questions, or if there are very few, then I can just brief him on that fact and perhaps ask him to just talk on any topic that he would like. So we can do that as well, so that the time is well spent. So please consider that. And anything, it doesn't have to be about this class, about the Kaivalya Upaniṣad, although you may, but any general questions that you have about life and Vedanta and so on and so forth, would be good to do. Okay. I don't even know, quite frankly. Ganeshaji, if you can tell us a little bit, then I can explain it to them. I'm not sure that I